In a small town, teenage Mike discovers strange happenings at the local funeral home run by a mysterious undertaker known as the Tall Man. After witnessing the Tall Man's supernatural strength and bizarre flying silver spheres that drill into victims' skulls, Mike enlists the help of his brother Jody and their ice cream-selling friend Reggie. Together, they uncover a terrifying secret. The Tall Man is harvesting corpses and transforming them into dwarf-like slaves for use on another dimension. As the trio delves deeper, the line between reality and nightmare is thin, leading to surreal sequences and dreamlike horror. Mike's fears grow as he questions what's real and what's illusion, culminating in a haunting confrontation with the Tall Man inside the mausoleum. Phantasm combines cosmic horror, surreal imagery, and inventive low-budget effects, becoming a cult classic of 1970s horror cinema. Susanna York stars as Catherine, a children's author suffering from severe mental instability while living in isolation in the Irish countryside. Haunted by disturbing visions, she begins to lose her grip on reality as her hallucinations manifest as multiple versions of the men in her life, her husband, lover, and a deceased friend, all merging and conflicting within her fractured mind. The boundaries between imagination and reality dissolve, leaving her trapped in a psychological labyrinth where murder and fantasy intertwine. Director Robert Altman crafts a haunting, non-linear narrative that immerses viewers in Catherine's disoriented psyche through eerie sound design and shifting identities. As Catherine's paranoia intensifies, she becomes both predator and victim, confronting the dark recesses of her own consciousness. The film's dreamlike visuals and unsettling tone evoke existential dread rather than traditional horror, offering an introspective and experimental portrayal of madness. Images remains one of Altman's most enigmatic works, blurring psychological realism with surreal terror. Before An American Werewolf in London, John Landis wrote, directed, and starred in Schlock, a low-budget parody of 1950s monster movies. The film follows a prehistoric ape-man, nicknamed Schlock, who emerges from a California cave after being frozen for millions of years. As he rampages through suburban America, he leaves behind a trail of chaos, banana peels, and slapstick mayhem. The film affectionately spoofs classic horror tropes from sensationalist news coverage to scientists trying to communicate with the creature. When Schlock meets a blind girl who mistakes him for a dog, an unlikely friendship forms, leading to bittersweet and absurd moments that blend comedy with pathos. Landis's film is filled with goofy gags, references to King Kong and Frankenstein, and practical effects by Rick Baker, marking both creators' first collaboration. Though made for a shoestring budget, Schlock displays Landis's early talent for genre satire and self-aware humor that would define his later hits. Set in 19th century Styria, this gothic horror tells the story of the beautiful and mysterious Marcilla, later revealed as the vampire Mircalla Karnstein. After seducing and draining the life from a nobleman's daughter, Marcilla moves to a new household under another alias, targeting young Emma Morton as her next victim. As Emma falls under Mircalla's spell, a web of seduction and bloodlust unfolds, mixing eroticism and death in Hammer's signature style. The local general and Baron Hartog investigate the spate of mysterious deaths, eventually uncovering the vampire's lineage. Featuring Ingrid Pitt's sensual performance and lush period sets, The Vampire Lovers broke boundaries for its open depiction of lesbian desire within horror cinema. Its combination of atmosphere, sexuality, and tragedy made it one of Hammer's boldest productions. In a devout Catholic community, young Alice, Spages, lives in the shadow of her angelic younger sister, Karen. During Karen's first communion, the ceremony turns deadly when she is strangled and burned by a mysterious masked figure. Suspicion falls on Alice, a troubled and misunderstood girl with a cruel streak, but as more attacks occur, the truth grows more elusive. The investigation exposes family dysfunction, hypocrisy, and religious obsession within the small New Jersey town. Brooke Shields appears as Karen in her film debut, though the real star is Paula Shepherd as the volatile Alice. Director Alfred Soule crafts an atmosphere of paranoia and perversion, using religious imagery and shocking violence to critique moral repression. Alice, Sweet Alice became a cult classic for its blend of slasher terror, psychological horror, and social satire. After a motorcycle accident leaves her severely injured, Rose, Marilyn Chambers, undergoes an experimental skin graft at a private clinic. The procedure, meant to regenerate tissue, mutates her instead. A phallic stinger emerges under her armpit, which she uses to feed on human blood. Her victims develop a rabies-like infection that turns them into violent zombies, spreading chaos across Montreal. As the epidemic grows, martial law is declared, and society crumbles into fear and violence. Director David Cronenberg transforms a body horror premise into a metaphor for contagion, sexuality, and urban collapse. Rose, both victim and vector, becomes a tragic antihero, yearning for human connection while spreading death. The film's cold tone and realistic depiction of panic give it a disturbing plausibility. Rabid remains a landmark of biological horror. A cosmic battle between good and evil unfolds in The Visitor, a bizarre blend of science fiction, horror, and religious allegory. A mysterious girl named Katie Collins possesses telekinetic powers inherited from an ancient evil entity. Her mother, unaware of her child's origin, is manipulated by powerful forces seeking to use Katie's abilities to bring darkness to Earth. An intergalactic messenger, played by John Huston, descends from a heavenly realm to intervene, setting off a surreal chain of events involving assassins, mind control, and apocalyptic visions. The film mixes elements of The Omen, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and The Birds, creating a hallucinatory atmosphere of cosmic horror and theological mystery. Featuring Shelley Winters, Glenn Ford, and Franco Nero as a Christ-like figure, The Visitor is an audacious, dreamlike spectacle that defies logic yet fascinates through its hypnotic visuals and otherworldly soundtrack. In Brian De Palma's psychic thriller The Fury, government agent Peter Sansa, Kirk Douglas, desperately searches for his son Robin, a young man with extraordinary telekinetic powers who has been kidnapped by a covert intelligence agency. The group, led by the sinister Childress, John Cassavetes, exploits Robin's abilities as a weapon. Meanwhile, Gillian, Amy Irving, another psychic teenager, experiences violent visions connected to Robin's torment. When their paths converge, Gillian's powers grow uncontrollably destructive. De Palma fuses espionage intrigue with supernatural horror, crafting scenes of shocking violence and operatic emotion. The film explores themes of parental love, manipulation, and the loss of innocence, set against a backdrop of government corruption. Its kinetic camera work and split-screen sequences heighten the tension, culminating in one of cinema's most explosive finales. The Fury stands as a potent mix of psychological horror and science fiction paranoia in the post-Carrie era. Larry Cohen's God Told Me To begins with a string of inexplicable murders in New York City, all committed by people who claim divine instruction. Detective Peter Nicholas investigates and discovers a chilling conspiracy involving alien influence and religious fanaticism. His inquiry leads to a cult centered around a mysterious man named Bernard Phillips, who possesses godlike psychic powers and may be the product of extraterrestrial conception. As Peter's faith collapses, he confronts his own disturbing connection to Phillips. The film blends crime thriller, science fiction, and theological horror, raising questions about free will and divinity. Shot on gritty New York streets, it captures a sense of urban despair. Cohen's unflinching direction and moral ambiguity make God Told Me To a provocative examination of faith turned fanatic. Its shocking revelations and surreal finale cement its status as one of 1970s cinema's most unsettling spiritual nightmares. Set in a puritanical 17th-century village, Twins of Evil follows identical sisters Maria and Frida, played by real-life twins Mary and Madeline Collinson, who move in with their Uncle Gustav while Peter Cushing, the zealous leader of a witch-hunting brotherhood. While Maria embodies innocence, Frida is drawn to the seductive Count Karnstein, who secretly practices satanic rituals and becomes a vampire. After Frida's transformation, Wiles' crusade against evil turns tragic as he condemns both sisters. The film climaxes with a fiery confrontation between the Puritans and the undead. Directed by John Hoff, this Hammer horror classic fuses gothic atmosphere, moral hypocrisy, and eroticism, depicting repression as the true monster. Cushing delivers a tormented performance, balancing righteousness and fanaticism. Lavishly shot and morally complex, Twins of Evil concludes the studio's Karnstein trilogy with themes of duality, desire, and the destructive cost of blind faith.